Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our competition meeting for the sprints. We'll just let it populate a little bit. We got a few people involved here, and we'll get rolling along with some of your questions and comments. So, for those you don't know, I'm Clinton Jeffrey, manager of Oshweekon Speedway and running the tours for the Knights of Thunder and the Action Sprint Tour. Along with me tonight is Doug Leonard, who will be our race director at all those events and wherever we can get him out on the road. So thanks, Doug. And Doug's going to provide some moral support for me tonight, too, as you don't have Adam with us. Want to thank Adam and Spencer for letting us use the framework here for the rival show, and it makes things a bit easier to keep things organized. For any fans or anybody else who's not involved in the competition side of the Knights of Thunder or the Action Sprinter, we welcome you guys for being here. We're going to be open and transparent tonight. So hopefully you guys get to see how the inner workings of some of this stuff goes. For all of our teams and everybody involved with the Action Sprinter and the Knights of Thunder from the 360 and the Crate Sprint side, welcome. We have three ways you can ask a question tonight. You can type it in the AST or KOT Facebook chat groups that we use for both series. Doug will monitor that. I'll try to stay on top of that as well. And if you have questions, we'll get to them. If we miss it or don't get to it right away, stick with us and make sure your question's heard. It might take us a couple moments. Another way you can do it is if you're watching us on YouTube, you can log in. If you're logged in with your Gmail account, you can just make a comment in the live chat and we can pick it up there. And if it's something that, you maybe don't want to be centered out about or don't want to feel like you want to stand up and ask the question, feel free to message us anonymously and we'll work on getting those questions answered for you as well. Just let us know you didn't want to be centered out in the group, and we'll do our best to accommodate. We're going to have a couple other special guests join us. We got a couple of track owners hopefully going to pop in and just let us know how they're feeling about getting us out. And I think we're in a really good spot going forward. First off, Doug, anything you want to say?
No, I'm excited. Hopefully we get this stay-at-home order lifted. We can go smell some methanol and some dirt in the air.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what's gone on in Quebec, it just was announced they're going to be allowed to have 2,500 fans in the stands in groups of 250. I mean, from everywhere we race, that's a regular crowd and then some. So I think promise is around the corner. Not sure how soon, and we'll touch on that. But I think good things are eventually coming. So we just got to be patient and stay the course. We brought everybody together tonight just to kind of answer some questions, let everybody know we haven't forgot about you, and kind of give everybody the kick in the butt to get moving on some of the things that we have in the works and some of the dates and where we stand with some of the tracks we're hoping to kick off the season with. So with that being said, see if we're missing anything yet. So first off, we want to thank our sponsors. We wouldn't be able to get this done without a lot of the same people who helped us get to the track last year. As you know, from the 360 sprint car side, the economics of it are just bad when we can't have fans. From the crate side, we kind of make our own bacon. We can almost break even, and with the $1,000 or $1,500 sponsor, it's manageable to get the tracks to welcome us in and be ready to pay the purses that we are, paying in the past and where we hope to be. On the 360 side, though, if you look at where we were last year with a full field of cars at $250 per team, you're looking at $6,000. Well, our purse alone was $10,500, and that's before you take into consideration tech, Doug's wages, stuff like that. A lot of the people who go on behind the scenes to make it work. So we're already in the hole about $6,000 before we even start. So without the help of guys like Jason at Burger Barn, Dan Nanacoke at Nitro 54, Stiers at OSR, John Brush at Corpac has been a big supporter. And then, guys like Nathan Ackland have jumped in. The folks, Gled Hill at Oakwood Transport, they've offered some help too. So we're going to be all right. But I think the big message right now is we have to keep pushing along. And then, of course, our other big sponsors, Pinty's coming in with entitlement sponsorship of both divisions, throwing up the point fund, and we'll talk about that and some of the rewards coming up that's being offered by Pinty's as well. But, the process of getting this all together was with Oshweekend being uncertain, that's really the wild card. We just don't know what's going to happen right now in Oshweekend, and I wish I had a better answer. Glenn wishes he had a better answer. But what we do know is the tracks around us are going to make every effort they can to really push and get going. And I think from the other tracks, that's where we kind of hedged our bet that we would be working at these other tracks. So first thing, we had to go out and we had to get purse money to pay for it. So the guys we mentioned, Burger Barn, Nitro 54, OSR, Corpac, Ackland, those guys, those are helping pay the purses. So that was the first thing we had to do. So we are supplementing our own purse a lot. So when guys start looking for, raises and bonuses and that, you have to realize we are barely staying afloat as it is. So we're able to put together what we've been calling a COVID-proof schedule. And what I meant by that is that allow us to get out and make sure we can make the tracks work with us and still be welcome at these events. And that's where the schedule came together. So that's where we are with the folks that helped us out. When you look at where we are with sponsors, we have some more contingency awards that are going to be coming on and announced as we get closer to it. But it's a little bit tough to do the business right now when we just don't know when our start date is. So we'll have more announcements coming as we get going. Moving into the Pinty's Point Fund rewards, Spencer, you can put that up if you have it. This is the divisional award. So Pinty's has been awesome for us. So what Pinty's has agreed to do, they've helped us out from the G4 side of things, build a full production trailer that we'll be able to produce all these races live with more bells and whistles. We're planning on bringing in a drone team and better views than anybody's ever had. But the big thing is they're covering the broadcast of all these races, 10 events, and they're also covering the point fund, which is north of $30,000. And the winner of each division gets a trip to Bristol to be part of the Grand Marshal package at the Pinty's Dirt Race for the next couple of seasons. So $5,000 for the championship, $3,000 for second, $2,000 for third, $1,500, $1,400 right down to $1,000 for 10th. So those are the points payouts for both divisions. Equal payouts and equal rewards for both the 360s and the crate sprints. And Pinty's is behind that money, and we appreciate them for that. They've also kicked in north of $35,000 to also help us put the broadcast live on the air. So that's awesome, and we appreciate everything they do for us. Doug, keep looking for questions. If I'm missing anything, just let me know if we ever need to jump in there.
Oh, I've got a few. Well, we can save them.
Okay. Before we go any further, we've got our two guests. So let's bring Blake and Terry on. These gentlemen are the new promoters at two of the speedways we'll be going back to this year. First off, Blake Outhouse is the new manager at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, and we appreciate Blake coming on to talk about it. And Terry Vince has recently taken over ownership of Humberstone Speedway, and we brought them on just to talk about how they're feeling about having sprint cars on. So first off, Blake, welcome to the show here tonight. This is kind of unique where we're just doing an online competition meeting to kind of just let all our competitors know where we stand. But there's been a lot of big changes at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, formerly Buxton. And, what can they expect when the sprint cars show up on June 26th at South Buxton? The old South Buxton and the new Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, because I know we're really trying to push that new name, Blake.
Definitely trying to push the new name. We've got to get that South Buxton attitude and drama that we've had gone. Things are looking great for the 26th. They really, really are. We've done a lot of work. We're ready for to have you. One of the things that I want everybody to know right off the bat that we've really worked hard on to change is safety at the Speedway. That's been an issue the last few years, huge. So I've got 3 EMT guys. We've bought an ambulance. We've built one rescue truck. We're in the midst of building the second one right now. So we'll have everything ready to go with EMTs, all kinds of great safety stuff. And then hopefully within 2 months, depending on this COVID thing, 6 of my guys will be gone away for the Canadian Motorsports Response Team. They're going for that course to be certified by SFI. So safety-wise, I want everybody to know that we're going to be great. Don't have no concerns about that. And I've heard a lot of rumors in the past few weeks about concerns and safety at the Speedway. The catch fence, everything's been certified. We're going to go when we really looking forward and stoked to have the sprint cars back at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway.
Now, Blake, it's gone from a D-shaped to a full oval. It's wide. Is it similar to Oshweekend for the sprint car guys? What have been some of the comparisons we were hearing about the new configuration?
But the only differences are it definitely gone from a D to a huge oval. The front stretch and the back stretch are 425 feet long with 10-degree banking. Are 20 degrees banking. So the track's 80 feet all wide all the way around. So yeah, it's very similar, just I think a little bit more banking.
Awesome. Blake, we don't want to take too much of your time. Anything else you want to add, and anything else we need to know about our visit to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway on June 26th?
We're just excited to have everybody back. We really are. And we're looking forward to a great Speedway thing. One of the things I want to say, if any of the guys are interested, depending on COVID, but I think down here in Southern Ontario, we're in really good shape right now. So what I think our plans are is we're going to have our first practice on June the 5th and our second practice on June the 12th. And we're going to go full-fledged racing on the 19th if things stay the way they are in Southwestern Ontario with the numbers the way they are, and the government allows us to do that. So that's our plan.
All right. Thanks, Blake. We look forward to seeing you at the end of June.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you.
We'll now bring in Terry Vince, new owner of Humberstone Speedway. Terry, how are things going with you? Oh, we dropped Terry. All right, when we get him back, we'll get going. But that's one good thing, gentlemen. So where are we with dates? So when you look at the Action Sprint Tour or the Knights of Thunder schedule, right now we're looking at a start date of June 19th at Merrittville Speedway for the 360s. And then it would be July 3rd with the Action Sprint Tour at Humberstone Speedway. So we're excited about that. And just let me confirm I've got those dates correct. Sorry, the 4th. 4th at Humberstone would be the first kickoff date for the crate sprints as it stands right now. So July 4th, Sunday for the crate sprints, and it will be Saturday, June 19th at Merrittville Speedway. And of course, these are pending the government allowing us to go out and do these events. So that's pretty much where we are for start date. So that's why we want to have this meeting to let everybody know we're anticipating a start a month from today, as long as the government lets it go. And that's where we are with the 360s. Anyways, Doug, do we still have Doug here? Spencer, I'm only seeing myself. Doug, you there?
I'm here, Clint. Yep.
Okay. Questions. What do we got so far? Let's just fire it out.
Well, I got a question, and I got a comment. So I had a personal question come to me from my Facebook asking if we have considered double file restarts.
What do you think?
Well, I know our argument, and we've had this conversation off air many times. I mean, I think it's a mixed thing. It's certainly on an aspect of entertainment, it's far more entertaining as a double file restart. I mean, so if we're being promoters and putting on our promoter hat, I mean, it certainly is beneficial that way. It certainly is beneficial also when you get a field that's strung out and gives you an opportunity to catch up and put you side by side. But the other argument that we've talked about is, I mean, having an open wheel car and having a guy right beside you, it could be sketchy, could be dangerous. I mean, especially possibly maybe in the crate division where we have new people coming in that just aren't used to it. I mean, it's the 360 guys maybe have more of that experience that could handle it. But if we're going to be consistent, do we do one and not the other? I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we could discuss in that matter.
No, we're going to stick with single file restarts. I mean, I understand why everybody would like the double, but team owners time and time again have stepped up and said, listen, it's crazy. Guys start making crazy moves. The cone works. Let's get going a lap or two, and then we'll sort it out. Now, we understand the arguments for the guys who get stuck at the back when a early caution comes out. Yeah, you're a long way around the track already, but if you're already that far back, chances are you didn't have a great start to your night and you're trying to claw out of a hole to begin with. Rarely does it happen that your luck just sticks you back there and you're kind of stuck. So kind of the attitude we're having right now with regards to rules, procedures, tech rules is a lot of we just need to get racing. Okay, so this is a year of flexibility where I think we're not looking to make any major rule changes, any major procedure changes. we just need to get out there, get racing, and get everybody going again. And anything that's going to cost anybody a lot of money, and some of the stuff we talk about later on, you guys may dispute that this goes counterintuitive to that, but the whole method is just get everybody out racing. So with regards to single file restarts, we're going to stick with that. A lot of the rules will be the same. So with regards to the 360 rules, they'll be the same as they were prior to COVID with Hush Weekend. So we'll get into specific rules in a minute with both divisions, but for single file restarts, we're going to stick with that for now in the cone. What else you got, Doug?
More, it was a message than it was a comment. Came from Mike Kelly, the race director at Brockville Speedway. Just wanted to remind teams that they've amended a rule for their crate division that it's 2 years mandatory on the seatbelts. So they can't go seatbelts more than 2 years old. He just wanted me to make sure I pass that message along to any teams looking or interested in visiting Brockville this year.
Yeah, so make sure you're up on that. I mean, we're typically a little bit longer than that. We're going to look
3 years.
Yeah. Let me look into that. And we're going to take some notes here. And within a week, we'll put out a final draft of any changes or any alterations that come of this. But like I said, for the most part, we're really trying to stick close to where we were all along. What else you got, Doug?
That's it so far that I've got that's come to me. I don't have anything else that's popped up yet, unless there's something on your end.
Okay, so Thomas Kennedy writes, do you put lap cars between leaders? This was a question that came up also that I think we need to be looking at. One of the things, Doug, is moving lap cars right out, even in the heats. So if you're a lap car and we get a caution, you're just going to have to go tail. Any issues with that, Doug, and any where we'd be going with that?
No, in our procedures, we've done that more in the feature, and it's been within the last 5 laps that we've moved the lap cars out of the way. Prior to that, so if we're going to go to a 25 lap feature from 1 to 20, we leave them in. I mean, it's always been a rule at Oswego Speedway ever since Ken Pelkey came around, and the argument was, I mean, you take a driver who's busted his butt and he's put 3 lap cars between him and the second place guy, and that's kind of his buffer. And now all of a sudden we have a caution and we move him out. It just takes that second place guy and puts him back on the leader's tail tank. So who wins and who loses? I mean, in that point there, it's the, in my opinion, it's the second place guy wins, and then the first place driver now loses that advantage that he or she might have had. I mean, the argument is the lap cars, since I've been working at Oswego Speedway, I've yet to see somebody unlap themselves. So again, it's an argument that we can go back to the double file restart on too. I mean, we can do either way. Do we bring in and introduce an easy pass and give that person a lap? Do you just move them right out of the way? We're open to discussion, I guess.
No, what I'd like to see us do, Doug, and like I said, we'll finalize it. You guys can feedback all you want, but I think we move the lap cars out every caution, and in the feature, you give a lucky dog to the first guy lap down each caution. I mean, that seems fairly fair. Do you have an issue with that? And then you go back to the leader situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not an issue. You mean you just lay them over. I mean, it's no different than how we do it on the Super Dirt Car Series. Caution comes out, just the lap cars need to know and be courteous to those and understand that you're a lap car. Don't argue it. Just lay over to the inside and that. Drag your feet, cycle the rear. If they do it in the order that they're in, it's fine. I mean, and you don't have to adjust and all that stuff. And then it's just a matter of whoever's running our transponders that night. It's just a bump on the transponder and can adjust the driver and put them on the lead lap.
And for entertainment value, I think we need to pull the lap cars out. And if the second guy gets that late lap caution and the opportunity to pounce, the leader's just going to have to hold on to it. We're trying to put an entertainment here, and there's no better way. I mean, nothing stinks than when a caution comes out with 2 laps to go and there is 3, cars between the leader and second. You might as well just throw him checkered because he's not going to get him by the time, he breaks and we get going. So
Right.
We'll keep those in mind. Keep your questions and comments coming if you got any. I don't see.
So I just got bombarded with a couple here.
Okay.
On my end is belts expire halfway through the year. Can you use them till the end of the year? Bought them a year and a half ago and haven't used them once. I mean, certainly that's an answer we'll have to get
Um,
on our
what
end.
I what I would like to see happen with regards to that is tech is going to be at their discretion. Um, we're not going to bust your ass, but if you're planning on racing Brockville, they're going to be strict on it. You're going to have to abide by their rules. So if you're planning on racing Brockville, you're going to have to work that out. I got to talk to them about the tour events and see what happens. Um, I don't disagree with the rule, but I do understand drivers are in the situation who bought them maybe at the beginning of last year and raced twice on them, and they've been practically brand new. Like they've been on the shelf. They've had no stress, no laps, no washing, no sun. There's an argument for that to be said in this COVID situation. Going forward, I'm with 100%, but I think for now we have to look into what we can do, and I'll talk to the guys down at Brockville about that. And see what we can do. And if they dig in their heels, it's something we all have to deal with. Maybe we adjust that. We have to figure that out. But
Right.
we're going to try and be flexible as we can.
So
What
another
else
one came in, more of a tech question. I don't know if you want to save that to the tech
throw it out?
part of the lineup, or do you want it now?
Get it now.
Now, electronic bleeders.
No. So we'll be using the same rules we did for the 360s last year. A lot of the teams that be racing up and down this deal don't have them right now. They haven't had to have them in the last 10 years. They are going to be coming in. I mean, the next race at Oshweekend, when we go back, they'll be allowed. But out on this tour, I think it's a lot more across the board easier to say no. We haven't used them all along, and that's pretty much where we are. It'll be the same rules as we had last year, which was your choice of a dish wing with no wicker bill or a flat wing with a wicker bill. Oshweekend, same tires. So basically it's the same rules we've had at the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals. Safety bars are not mandatory for one more year. We're recommending everybody has them. Everybody has had them. If you're going to be racing Oshweekend Speedway or the Action Sprint Tour, it's really only the Brighton races, and that was in an effort to get the SOS guys to still participate a little bit. And we'll talk about why we started the KOT here in a few minutes, or maybe at the end, just to explain where we are and the future of that, and where we see our relationship with the SOS going. So we'll touch upon that, but the rules will be the same.
Okay. Another one came from an Action Sprint Tour driver. A couple things that should be discussion. Something that you and I just talked about before we went on air is laps for the Action Sprint Tour.
Yeah. So we can talk about race procedures quickly, Doug. So we always try and be the most efficient sprint car crew as we can. So we don't make a group hot lap. We just want the first 8 cars up to the line and let's get going. So if you guys want to play games with hot laps and what group you're in, that's fine. We're just taking the first 8 and getting going. We always try to make sure the track is good enough for you guys to get out there and get going. We'll draw for heat starting positions. Then we'll use passing points in the heats. The top 8 will redraw. The rest of the field qualified cars will be lined up on your passing points. And if we need to be main, we'll take the number of cars based on whether we have 3 or 4 heats. Most of the events we anticipate 3 heats. Hot laps, 8-lap heats, and a 25-lap feature. B main would be 10 laps if needed. Right. Any questions there, Doug, or anybody else? Let us know.
So that's just an announcement that the Action Sprint Tour will now be doing 25 laps versus 20.
Correct.
Okay, so Jimmy, the other comment. Yep.
I just saw Jimmy wrote on 1 inch to 2 inch. I may have it wrong. Whatever it's been is what it will be. So if it's a 1 inch, then it should be a 1 inch. My mistake.
The other one, comment, same driver from the Action Sprint Tour. We should have our own safety crew at traveling races and race director. I know, at least for the Niagara tracks and also Oshweekend, it is the same crew. It's Pat and Dustin's crew that works there. And we can certainly work at something with going to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway and also Brighton Speedway.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about this as well. A lot of our core group is the same, and even when we go to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway now, their crew was the original Oshweekend crew. A lot of their guys were trained by Kevin back in the day, and they have the same standard we do. One thing we will be looking to work on is get someone who can be a safety team leader, who can go around and just coordinate with all the teams and all the place we go. And it'd be awesome if we could have our own safety team traveling, but that's a very expensive proposition. When you start looking at the number of bodies it is and travel time to take them 3 hours up and down the road. Not everybody is adventurous like guys like me and Doug who will go there and get out of the track at 12:30 and then drive home till 4 a.m. They start wanting hotel rooms, and I get it, but it just becomes a proposition where we're just trying to stay afloat. So I'm looking at working with one or two of our safety coordinators, guys from Pat and Dustin's team, who can just coordinate, show up to the races all the time, and make sure we can have a good continuity from race to race, and someone who knows you guys and knows the type of injuries you've been through. That's the best thing. Even us as announcers, I know you hurt your shoulder. Well, if our doctor knows you've got a bad shoulder and they're trying to pull you out of the car, that helps too. So certainly something we're looking forward to. I think once we get back to full out of COVID and we can start to be extra strong with our partners and start to really bring in the kind of capital we need to do that. Yes. But in the meantime, we will work on a coordination and to improve the situations that we know there were last year when our guys couldn't be there. So we'll work on bringing everybody up to speed and getting us all to the same point. As far as race directors and tech, Mike Miller is going to try and come to as many of the races, as will Doug. But we already know there's a couple of situations where we're going to be on a different crew. And we're gonna bring in veteran people who understand where we're going and make sure we're in a good spot. But there are going to be times when Doug and even myself won't be able to be there, and you're going to have to deal with other folks that we've contracted in to work on the tour for us. And it's just, unfortunately, with everything going on, it's tough for us to be totally dedicated to one thing when we've got 4 options on the table, some Saturdays to go to. So we're trying to prioritize what we can, and we just need you guys to work through the year with us any way we can.
The last thing I have is the same driver, long-winded here. He never got an answer on where the battery needs to be mounted. A lot of guys have them mounted to the fiberglass fiber wall, which is totally unsafe in his opinion. Needs to be addressed, needs to be mounted to the frame, i.e. under the seat on frame rail. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. There has been some talk about battery mounting points. It was one of the talking points we would have gotten to here in the Action Sprint Tour. So we'll just jump into a couple of those tech questions. One was battery mounting points. The fiberglass firewall is not a safe place to mount your battery. We're going to determine that it has to be mounted firmly to the frame in a secure, solid fashion that is not mounted to plastic or fiberglass. So we're going to compose a rule over that. That will come out. But if your battery is mounted to your fiberglass firewall, you're going to need to change that. And we'll work with a bit of a grace period to get that fixed. But that needs to be addressed. I agree. We'll be getting that one sorted out. Along those lines, batteries. Alternator has been in a gray area. It's never been written in the rules. After speaking to a couple of the engine builders in the past few days, it is going to be allowed. It is currently a gray area in the rules, but if you want to run an alternator in the Action Sprint Tour, you're allowed to run an alternator. Anything you're going to do, and what the engine builders have said is they aren't going to recommend it because they feel it'll take horsepower away. But if you feel it helps out your situation, you still have to run a 12-volt battery, but you can run an alternator if you so choose. Two other situations.
Did you just get a question on that? Because as you were talking it, I got texted that question. It was perfect timing. That's why I asked.
Okay.
It would answer the question.
There was a couple of pictures that went around of motors with alternators, so we knew it was going to come up. So we addressed it. We called the engine builders. Most of them said they wouldn't go with it. I'm hearing you can get 3 nights on your battery if you charge it properly. But remember, it must be 12 volt. We will be teching it. If it's a 16 volt or something like that, you're going to get tossed. So make sure you got it right. Headers, we opened up a new header part number last year. There were some issues with availability, so Just make sure you're up to speed on your headers. Also, you can do whatever you want to the outside of your headers. You cannot coat the inside. So if you want to paint them, you can paint them, but you cannot do anything to the inside of the headers. Another situation that came up, and goes back to the cost factor. So originally this rule was brought in to save teams money, but we found out it was actually costing teams money. It wasn't a benefit, and this is carbon fiber bodies. So we have fought this battle on and off. I can admit I dug my heels in very solidly on the carbon fiber bodies, but as we see more and more teams buying sprint cars from 360 teams, they're forcing to go out and buy a new body when the body they have on the car is perfectly legit. In some testing we've done at Oshwegan Speedway Racehorse, Kevin Lovey's took two bodies, put them both on the scale, and they were virtually the same weight. So there's no advantage by running carbon fiber. It may be safer, but you're not needing to spend the money to save the weight, which is the reason we said there'll be no carbon fiber bodies. We knew we had at least 4 teams in the crates out there with carbon fiber on their bodies right now who were going to have to take a perfectly good body panel off and put something else on that weighed the same, that was less, it was not as strong to keep mud and stuff out of the cockpit. So we're going to rescind that, and for now, carbon fiber bodies will be allowed as they are in the 360s right across the board. So hopefully that makes sense. Driving safety cue. Okay. Safety bars, as I mentioned, all of our teams have had to have safety bars mandatory. So for the Action Sprint Tour, safety bars are mandatory. For the 360 Knights of Thunder, they will be mandatory everywhere but Brighton. And that was an issue because Mark wanted to make sure the SOS teams could race his place if they wanted to. But we need to make sure that we're doing the best we can. If a team really wanted to race the other races, to get through the COVID year, we may allow it on a one-off basis at one of the other tracks. But the basic deal is, we want you to be safe. And if you're a 360 team, spend the $350 and get the safety bars in. Your family depends on it. Let's not be stupid. You spend money on all kinds of other stuff. Just put the safety bars in. There's probably 10 cars in the whole province who don't have it right now, so just get them. Trying to think. Anything else you guys want? We're going to be winding it down soon, so if there's anything else you want us to talk about, make sure you get it out there. Lives and procedures. Is there a tour membership? So let's talk about entry fees, memberships, etc. We're kind of jumping all over the place. And then we'll get back to why we started the KOT and where we see it going from here. So entry fees and memberships. We will not be charging an entry fee or membership for either tour this year. Again, it comes down to saving you guys money. We could charge $100 or $75. We found out in the past that there used to be a time when all the tracks would give you an advantage. You get $10 off if you were a tour member, but they've all done away with their member advantage pricing. So it was tough for us to come in and get a deal on those nights. So it was tough for us as a tour to take your money when you weren't really getting anything other than writing your name down on the page. We have worked together with Stone Ridge Specialty Insurance that both tours will have additional coverage out on the road, similar to the SOS did. I know that was a concern for some of the Southern Ontario Sprint guys. Will we have insurance if we didn't charge a membership? Yes, we will. For both tours, so that's a bit of an added situation this year. If someone gets hurt out there, we've got our own protection to back you guys up a little bit. Entry fees, it's looking like it's going to be $50 per person, realistically, to get through COVID this year, especially if there's no fans. That's the only way the tracks are going to make it work. It's about $10 to $15 more than a regular cost night. Per person. We realize it's a bit more expensive, but unfortunately our hands are tied. In an effort to do that, we'll make sure that payouts are $250 to take the green in the 360s and $2,000 to win, which is a solid payout. And in the crates, it'll be $1,000 to win, $150 to take the green. And as far as $250 for 5 people last year, or $50 per person, and they break it up, that's really up to the individual tracks, and we'll let you know as we come up to those events. They have to make their back gate money too, and like I said, we're helping them out any way we can, but realistically, for us to bring our math, we need to be looking at 5 people per team at 250 to make our division make sense for the sprint car tracks that are welcoming us in, and that's how our math's been done. So if they feel they can make it up with other people coming in and they just want to charge $50, that's the track's choice. But for now, it's looking like it's going to be $50. And hey, if they drop the price to 40, that's on them too. But I think realistically, we're all going to be looking at $50 to get into all the races this year, anywhere you go. With that being said, I think the tracks, they're still fighting hard to make this all work. So the fact that they're going to let us go, that's great. One thing we want to talk about too is there was questions about driving both divisions. So this is something where we have a lot of good job, Spencer. There's a lot of young teams, and I only say that because they're the ones who have asked, but who have access to both cars. So they've been crate veterans who want to start dabbling in the 360s. And we understand you can bring the cars out to the same race on the same night. As promoters, we need all the cars in as we can get in there. The tour, it looks great. It'd be terrible if we show up with 20 cars and, we could have had 4 or 6 or 10 more because guys had both cars at home. So the procedure for running both divisions are going to be before the first event. We'll let you know when that's going to be, when the official registration. We're going to ask you to pick a division. So you will not be able to run for 2-point funds. So you'll be able to compete in both races on a night, but you have to declare which point fund you're chasing before the year starts. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you're a crate guy and you want to dabble in the 360s, you can declare you're going to be a crate 360 point chaser, and your 360 points will kind of just wash away. And Doug and I will figure out the procedures and how we're going to list them and when they'll disappear. But either way, you won't be calculating points for the 360s if you choose to run crates or vice versa. The other procedure to that, so when we look at running both divisions, the question was, can a driver run both divisions on nights where 360s and crates are racing at the same event? And as of now, we have 9 of them scheduled where both classes are scheduled to race. Drivers must declare which division they're driving and registering for points. They can only collect points in one division. Drivers may enter both classes, providing they pay 2 complete team entries and have 2 complete cars that pass tech for each class. So just to clarify on that, drivers will have to pay both classes. So if that track determines it's a $250 entry fee per 5, which we're going to recommend, you would have to pay $250 and then another $250 even if you don't have 4 more crew. I realize that, but that's how the math works. You're taking a spot of someone else and a payout of someone else. So that's how that will work. You would have to pay 2 completes. Now, if the track reverts back and does individual per person $50, you may be lucky and just be able to pay $50. But it's looking like most places we're going to go will probably be $250 for each team. The other thing we want to mention is 2 complete cars that pass tech for each class. So you must have a complete 360 that can pass tech at all times in the night and a complete crate that can pass tech in all times in the night. You cannot mix and match cars, and you cannot drive your crate with your 360 or vice versa. We will also not hold up to chauffeur drivers to swap cars. We'll do our best to work with you, but teams must have both cars ready to go for all events on the evening's program. Meaning, if you're out racing your crate car, your team needs to have your car fueled up, ready to go, so you can do nothing more than swap out the driver and push him off. And we may even take it a step further, where we will have a crate team drive right up to the staging area, get out of their car, get in the other one, and get pushed off right from there. You might not even be going back to your pit stall. So we'll be working on that. The whole deal is to get you guys in, but our thought process is if we can get a bunch of these young guys testing the waters in 360s, when we go back to a full regular season, the classes are going to be strong right across the board. Any questions or comments about that? Doug, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think it all makes sense. I mean, it comes down to the economics, as you mentioned. I mean, track owners, especially with no crowds right now, their losses are mounting, and if they aren't losses, they're certainly break-even events. And I mean, Nobody wants to go to business just to break even. So, I mean, as you said, especially if we're up in these purses and up in these point payouts and that, the math is certainly there that if you're bringing 2 cars, you got to pay 2 entry fees.
Yes. Product sponsors or random giveaways after the race. Yeah, we have a lot of product sponsors, and this is something we're ramping up, and this is also a benefit of having the G-Force platform to broadcast these races. We have a lot of attention coming to us, and once we know when we're going to get out there, we'll be able to get up and rolling. But we do have a lot of product sponsors who will be coming on board, and there will be some extra rewards coming down the line for sure when it comes to both of the tour and where they end up for contingency extras and stuff like that. Any other KOT or AST tech questions? Send them in now. Let's talk about why did we start the KOT. The Knights of Thunder, I mean, the Action Sprinter was already running strong. But last year when Oshweekend didn't get to open, and like we said all along, it's still a wild card. We really don't know what's going to happen Oshweekend, regardless of what happens in the rest of Ontario. There's a possibility we may be shut down for the entire season again. There's also a possibility it could come wide open. I mean, I'm still shocked by the news that came out of Quebec for 2,500. And as I said, Adam Ross Day, the freedom pressure of mounting around our province here, the bubble's going to have to burst sooner or later if everybody else is getting on with it. I mean, Ransville had wide open, full fans on Friday, no restrictions, no masks, I don't think. And here I am, 15 minutes from the river away, and we can't do nothing. So it's just where we are. But the Knights of Thunder started when, first off, we got when the SOS wasn't playing any COVID races, and it's a lot of effort to go out and find the money and to get the purses. But we had a lot of people like, our core four, as I've been calling them, Jay and Dan and Glenn and John from, Burger Barn, Nitro, Core Pack, OSR, who were paying for races last year. And we figured if we can get together and make a schedule that works, that we don't really, step on anybody's toes with, so to speak, because we thought the SOS were going to be off. We just wanted to keep the 360s racing and put together something. We knew the border was going to be still shut down. So, the SOS and the Patriots, who we would normally mix and get us a few extra races, it looked like the 360s weren't going to have anything planned ahead of time. So we decided to start the Knights of Thunder 360 Tour. Then it turned out the SOS did want to do something. And, I'll be straight up, we got into a bit of a disagreement with the SOS. But our intent at the KOT Knights of Thunder was never to harm the SOS or put them out of business or do anything like that. So we booked a very ambitious schedule this year for the Knights of Thunder, 20 plus races according, and then that includes the co-sanctioned events with the Patriots and Empire Super Sprints at Cornwall and Brockville. But we knew a lot of them were probably going to get canceled or moved. So we booked a lot with the hopes of getting a decent schedule in by the time we're at the end of it. So that's kind of where we are with that. But our Pinty's deal is 3-year contract for the 2 divisions. So we will be doing Knights of Thunder for the next 3 years, but I don't think you'll see it be a 27 race schedule. You'll probably see us do 10 races in 2022 and 2023. And we're going to work with the SOS to let them pick the dates, and we'll work around them. You're probably going to see the Action Sprint Tour and Knights of Thunder races pair up quite a bit because it's easy for broadcast. So if we could put 10 races together that are super sprint events with both divisions touring around the province, that's kind of where the future goes. So I don't see it being ever a 30 race schedule where we're going to compete against the ESS, Patriots, and SOS. We're going to try and work in conjunction with them and make sure we're offering 10 blockbuster events with good payout, solid point fund for 10 races, put all those races on the air so you guys can show off your sponsors and show off how cool, the sprint cars are in Ontario. So I think there's some great promise to what we've got. I still think the SOS has a great future if they choose to go out and fight for it. And, we're not going to battle them. That was never the deal. But it was tough to also not put something together when you have fantastic people behind us pushing for better things for you guys. So, Yeah, we ruffled some feathers, but I think we can mend those fences. In the end, I think 360s and crate sprints are going to come out a lot stronger when this is all said and done in the end. Um, so that's why we started the KOT. I don't know. What are we missing, Doug? I feel empty inside. Any other questions or comments we are maybe missing or not picking up on?
Oh, we got a few here. We got a little bit of a debate going on right now with the seatbelt situation. So Henry put a post up in the Action Sprint Tour page that he's talked to Paul Kirkland, and then they're going to allow the 3-year belts and stay with the Action Sprint Tour just because of the COVID. And he certainly doesn't want to alienate drivers from showing up. So I've asked for just a clarification on that one because we've
Just
got
let
a
me
little bit
touch
of a
on that
mixed
for a
meeting.
second.
Yeah.
Brockville, what great partners they've been. I mean, Henry and Paul and Mike and their crew down there, they've been awesome to work with. I mean, from the time we got the first inkling a year and a half ago that they were going to start talking about crate sprints, I reached out to them right away and said, hey guys, like, stick with us and we can build something amazing here now. We were looking at, if COVID wasn't here, we at one point thought we were going to end up with an East, West, and a national tour for crate sprints, which is crazy to think that we'd have 10, 10, and a bunch of combined races in the middle. But we're headed that way. We really are. I mean, once Quebec picks up on it, and as it starts to flow down a little bit farther down the 401 and the St. Lawrence, you're going to see this division really blossom into something that's going to be amazing, to the point even crazier than it is now. I can see a time when we have 100 crate sprint cars showing up for the Canadian Crate Nationals in 3 years. We're not that far away from it, and maybe that's a bold prediction, but the big shout out goes out to Henry because we fought very hard together, not against each other, but we worked really hard to make sure that we had no conflicts for the crate sprints. And there was like 1 or 2 dates at the end when they actually gave up those dates to a place like Merrittville just to keep the peace and to make sure that, if you're a crate sprint guy, you don't have to make a choice anytime in 2021. There's a crate race, you can go to that. And I can't thank Henry and the people at Brockville, and you guys shouldn't enough. And there was some headaches when we went to a couple races last year, and not just at Brockville, but all over the place. But the big thing is they're behind it, they're trying, and we're going to make them, an awesome deal with this crate sprint. We had so many of our racers that have gone down there. When you look at guys like the Currans and Huntsinger, and there's tons of them. I mean, those are just the first two. They're more close. That's terrible English. They're a lot closer to Brockville than they are Oshwegan. So there's a lot of promise in the middle there, and it's a huge thanks goes out to everybody at Brockville because we worked out some great stuff. Doug, you're a dirt guy. You know what it means to have our Action Sprint Tour Championship part of the Brockville Fall Nationals. If you're a dirt fan at all in North America, that's the key end of it all, other than the dirt finals here in the Northeast. So to have the Action Sprint Tour be on GeForce TV live and have our finale there, that's super exciting.
Oh, it's a great event for them. I mean, you pull into the place and it's just jam packed. It's always when I attend and that for the big blocks, it's always on the Friday, and I get there late, leaving from work and driving up the 401, and you get there and the pits are just absolutely jammed. They're parking in out in the field outside of turn number 2. You look out in turn 3 and 4, and all the camping. I mean, the parking lot's just jam packed. I wish I could stay for the Saturday portion of it and that, but the amount of cars that they get for that event, it's huge. I mean, you're right. It's a great event. I know we've capped off the 358 championship there. I mean, with Mike and Mike Kelly, the race director, Mark Hitchcock, Timmy Balls on the microphone. Paul and Cheryl put on an excellent event. So, I mean, having the Action Sprint Tour there, like you said, is marquee.
I truly agree. It's super excited to have that out there. Terry Baker asks, ring opinion, how are you checking gear ratios on AST? I mean, same way we've been all along. Message me again if there's something else on the side, and we'll clarify if we need to do that. But the gear was pretty solid. I didn't think there was any question with that. Let me know what I'm missing there, and we'll get that clarified for you. If there's any other questions, let us know. I also want to mention that.
I got a few here, Clint. I got a few that have come in. So what do we got? Points if 1 or 5 races, payouts the same due to COVID. That was an Action Sprint Tour question.
If we only get 5-point races, was that the question?
Yeah, so I think the question is whether we get 1 or 5. Does it matter? Payout's still the same.
To be honest, it's a question we didn't determine. I think I would like to be fair to Pinties, who have been more than fair to us. So if we get 2 races in, we have to have that discussion about what that's worth to the teams and what that's worth to Pinties. I think, if we've scheduled as many as we have and we get 6 or 8 in, I think we're good. I'd have to talk that over with them, but I mean, I haven't drawn a line in the sand, to be honest, yet, because first time we thought of it. But I'm hoping that's not a problem. We're planning on paying it out. They're good for the money, and let's get a bunch of races in so we don't have to have that. But, I would think if we get north of 5, I don't see a problem with that.
So in the Knights of Thunder page, drivers has electronic gauges for water temp and oil pressures only. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay.
That was allowed last year.
Yeah. We had that one. We've already addressed another question from a driver. If he's bringing 2 cars, is it 2 different pays for entry fees, which we've addressed?
Yeah.
Had another question. Right. Had another question asking about the Brighton race on June the 12th, confirming that is a no-go.
That is a no-go. So, as a lot of you guys know, Mark and the Rinaldis have been fighting the battle for us with the parliamentary here in Ontario to get us some answers. Mark isn't in a rush to jump right out and go. I have a hard time believing. I mean, I got a $50 bet with Adam Ross. If you watched our show last night, that I don't think we'll be racing, much before mid-June. So we'll see where we end up with that. And that's just pure my speculation, but we're hearing new things every day. So we could be going, but the Brighton race is officially off the schedule. And just to talk about that, I don't think you're going to see us try and reschedule all these races to try and get us back to 20 plus events. When it comes down to it, we'll see where we are. Now, with that being said, right across the board in Ontario, almost every promoter I've talked to on both the pavement and the dirt says they're going to try and go later into the fall to make up dates if required. So, there may come a time when we're saying, okay, it's still nice and sunny October, mid-October, late October. Do we still want to be having races and make up some dates? And we'll see how we get. But by August, end of August, we'll determine where we're going with October, I would think. But so a lot of these events, if they fade away, as long as we can get 10 to 12 events in, we're quite happy on the Knights of Thunder Tour. I mean, we're not going to cancel them just for the sake of canceling, but if they fade away or get rained, we may or may not reschedule them, but probably not.
Action Sprint Tour question, adjustable shock mounts.
I don't know where we were before. I would assume that's a gray area. It's probably not written in the rules. I will get back to you on that. I don't see are we talking about the thing Glowenberg's building? Whoever wrote it? I don't know who wrote it. You have to send them
sure.
out. But, did it come in one of the chats, Doug?
No, it was a text message to me.
Okay. Jimmy Lowenberg was building a mount, if I'm not mistaken, where it could be adjusted up or down to pick up point for the shock. I mean, I don't, off the top of my head, and this isn't going to be official ruling, we'll write it down. I don't see an issue with it as long as you can't adjust it from the cockpit. But if it's reachable and you can make changes from the car, that's a problem. But
Yes.
if it's something you can set up before or has to be set up in the pits and cannot be manipulated by the driver once you've left your pit stall, I don't see an issue with that. But
so I just got a text message from a very good car owner saying X1 chassis makes the adjustable mount not uncommon but unique. And it's not adjustable from the cockpit.
Yeah, so if you want to change the pickup point before you go out or whatever, I don't see an issue with that. But we would want somebody being able to manipulate it mid-race and make changes to their chassis and get an advantage under yellow.
So we have
Other
to
than
put the
moving,
Sterling Marlin rule in there.
basically, we're going to be measuring arms lengths. So if you got ape arms, you might not be allowed to run it. If you got short little T-Rex arms, you might be allowed to run it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I would say. Oh, Thomas Kenny writes open headers for all tracks. I think what he means, we have no muffler rule here. So, yes. What else you got, Doug?
That's it I got so far. Oh, yeah, you got open headers for all tracks from Thomas. That one. Electronic gauges, we're all good on. I don't see anything else right now.
Let's just cruise down through.
Do you have anything on YouTube?
That's what I'm looking up. I think that's it. So if anybody has any questions, this will be your last call to get it in there. And as we're mentioning, got to thank our supporters again. They've been amazing to help us get going. We're looking at a really exciting year. From the G4 side of things, we're planning on broadcasting a minimum of 10 events. And as other races get moved around, there may become an opportunity to do a lot more. We've also got our own drone team. We got improved production trailer, all our equipment, all new cameras. So the G-Force package should be even better. If you guys are not using G-Force as a selling point for sponsors, it may be the only selling point you've got right now. You can find it on GeForce TV under the video section. It's called Are You Ready? And it's about a 1.5 minute video that we put together that explains what's going on with GeForce, some numbers, some demographics, and you can show that to your sponsors and show them, yes, our races are going to be on this broadcast channel, and this is some of the type of coverage you'll see and the benefits you'll see by, getting involved with our team. So make sure you check that out. It's called Are You Ready? It's a video here on our YouTube channel, GeForce, and we'll make sure you guys have that. We'll add that to both the chats for both groups. As you guys know, you can come out and get in touch with us through both of those chat groups or individually, Doug or myself, anytime. You guys were asking about contingency deals. There's a new methanol fuel that we'll be selling that's going to be coming on board called RS1. They're going to be one of the contingency deals we'll be announcing first out of the box, and they'll be kicking in some contingency prizes. And, for their customers, they'll be kicking in bonuses if you win using their fuel. So we're excited to bring those guys on. I know some of the other parts supplier companies we're dealing with at OSR have got involved, and we have a lot more sponsors coming involved. And even as we're talking this, I see some other folks in the business side of racing asking for a sales deck for the tour. So we'll get on that, and we'll try and make some sales even after this meeting. So there's some good stuff coming down the pipe. I think the biggest message we've got is, we want you guys to know we're trying to get you guys as many races as we can, regardless of the situation at Oshwegan. And I really think that when we come back out of this whole pandemic, even if it is in 2022, when we get a full, fresh year, I think sprint cars are going to be stronger and better than ever. Car counts are going to be up. More people seen it because of the G-Force, and that's the other benefit of the channel is last year we were covering asphalt one night, iRacing the next, dirt, sprint cars another night, and there was a lot of what I've been calling cross-pollination. So a lot of people have discovered sprint cars through that platform, and I think we're going to find that crowds are going to be up at the speedways, and everything's just going to be booming like the Roaring 20s again. When they came out of the Spanish flu, that's how hopefully we'll be when we get out of this COVID flu. Anything else?
One thing was just contingency decals. Where could I get them? I got a few new wings.
First race, we'll have a package ready for you guys. In the meantime, we're not going to be mailing them out or anything. We'll just have them available at the first drivers meeting.
And that's all I've got so far.
All right, I see one or two people typing, and if nothing important comes through, we'll wrap up this first competition meeting. We thank everybody for joining us. Hopefully you found this informative. One question was ESS has a different wing rule, how we sort that out of the co-sanction races. The co-sanction races are a good topic to bring up. They're a unique situation. Ideally, those are ESS rules or Patriot rules. So we'll talk to them and figure out where we are. But we would have to conform to their rules. I would be pretty sure on that. It's their show. We just added the dates more or less so we weren't stepping on their toes, and everybody knew that was kind of a 360 sprint car date that was kind of reserved. So even by us putting that on our schedule, it also prevented other tracks who maybe wanted to put a 360 race in. It showed right away that, okay, the 360s are tied up on those nights. Now, with that being said, and if the border doesn't open, I mean, they've already canceled the first race for the ESS in June there. So with that being said, I think you're going to see if the border doesn't open and once we get up and running, the other three events that are scheduled, we're going to have to decide whether, A, can they get over and is the border open? If that's not the case, then we're going to have to decide with the tracks, do we still feel we could bring a non-point 20-car field down to Brockville to race and make it work? So that's kind of where we are. And then someone's got to figure out the point fund, because that was kind of an ESS or the payout, because the ESS was already covering the payout for that one. That didn't kind of fall in our sponsor basket, if that makes sense. So those co-sanction races are really up in the air, because Patriot and ESS have to determine either first they're going to have them. The tracks then have to determine whether they want to have them with just us and without them. So those races may be a couple more that fade away just because of the border situation and the sponsor situation down there. Now, with that being said, we've worked really good with Brockville. We also had Cornwall race last year. So if it works out, we still be maybe going forward to them, but we're not holding our feet to the fire to put those races on. A lot of that hinges on the other tours and the tracks. So we'll bring you up that update as soon as we can on each of those. I hope that makes sense.
How would that work, Clint, for the KOT being a co-sanctioned event? Are they mandatory for running for points on the KOT? Do you have to go to those events?
No, we made them non-points. So it was pretty much just to reserve those dates. So if you're a 360 driver, we tried to be good partners, if you can, with the Patriots and the ESS, to not step on their toes, to not hurt their package, to make sure the guys know when the races are on. And for our bigger teams, they can put their whole schedule together for everything on this side of the border. And that's kind of where we started. Again, we knew the border probably wouldn't open, at least for opening weekend. So if we're stuck over here on this side, we had to put together a plan that would keep you guys racing with a purpose and decent payouts. If we couldn't rely on the Patriots, the SOS, the ESS to get races together on this side of the border. So that's kind of where we started and why we did the whole thing, I'm not sure. I think that's about it. We appreciate the feedback. A few people have commented that this has been a good forum. I appreciate Doug coming in. Spencer's behind the scenes putting this together for us. I want to thank Terry Vince, just couldn't get on, but let's talk quickly about Humberstone and Merrittville, Brighton, some of our other tracks. They've been great. Brighton's excited to have us back. They've always had a great sprint car. To be part of Labor Day weekend for 2 nights with both classes is going to be a heck of a party and a hell of a bunch of racing. We're broadcasting one of the nights for sure live, so that's going to be exciting. Then you go Buxton has been changed now to Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, and I need to get a swear jar for Blake because I'm still saying the B word, and I got to get that out of my vocabulary. As you might have heard Blake say, they're really trying to change the culture, the attitude, and push that Buxton attitude aside and get a fresh start at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. So we're excited to get down there. They got all brand new LED lighting. If you haven't seen the pictures of this place, it's going to be bad, fast, and mean. and should be excited to get back there. A whole new Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. Humberstone, Doug, you got hired as the race director full time, so you'll be spending a lot of Sundays there. Terry Vince has put a lot of effort into Humberstone. He's working on a lot of new things, just amenities like sound system and improving the bar area and the food experience. One big thing that they've done at Humberstone is Terry is putting the go-kart push-off track back in. So we'll have it a lot like Oshweekend, where you guys will save time by your hot laps, and all your firing the motors will go off on your own track on the side. And that's super exciting from a show and a management standpoint, Doug, because, what a blessing our push-off track is at Oshweekend, right?
Oh my goodness, it's phenomenal. I mean, with Terry running it back there, Terry Watts and the team that he's assembled. I mean, a lot of seasoned veterans back there, but it just speeds that show up huge. I mean, when you can end a race and then the next ones are rolling as one heat's going off in that. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Merrittville Speedway, the hot topic there's the food. Oh my goodness. They put in a brand new wood oven pizza situation there, and an awesome ice cream stand. Doug says he's going to buy a banana split for the first feature winner at Merrittville in both classes this year.
Yeah.
At the Merrittville Scoops ice cream stand. It's amazing. The food's been awesome. They continue to improve Merrittville Speedway. If you came out last year, you saw they painted all the towers. Everything's great. I mean, if you're a fan at Merrittville and you haven't been able to go last year, you're going to love it when you get back. So many improvements to the menu, along with the amenities. It's just awesome. We have some great partners. So we're looking at some great things in the sprint cars. Back home at Oshweekend, new paved roads, new VIP area, new front and backstretch concrete walls are all completed and totally done now. Just tons of stuff going on there. So super excited about all that. And I think it's going to be awesome. Couple quick questions.
You add to that. Look at that excitement, Clint. You mean Merrittville's done improvements. Ontario Motor Speedway has done improvements. Humberstone's done improvements. I mean, Oshweekend's done improvements. I mean, I think racing is great. I mean, I'll even go to myself. I mean, on my Saturday night track at Flamborough Speedway, just the amount that John and Frank, I know it's totally different than that, but the amount that John and Frank have been put into the place. Look at Jacasa. I mean, motorsports is really thriving here in Southern Ontario, so it's great and exciting.
Yeah, Brighton with the new pit area has been awesome too. The last couple of years, it's really opened things up, and we have some great partners. So hopefully you guys are excited to be in the sprint car classes. I know we have some great things planned for you. I mean, even if you look at the APTN documentary that airs every week on APTN now at 8 p.m., yes, it's focusing on the Indigenous drivers that we have at Oshweekend, but the whole story, I mean, more and more eyes are on sprint cars now than they've ever been. And I'm certain we're going to come out of it. One or two last questions that trickled in. How do you know what ring and pinion is in the rear end? Just what the driver tells you. As far as measuring the gear with the crate sprint. So we will sort that out with tech, and we'll also have to determine what the gear rule will be for Southern Ontario Speedway. Most likely will be similar to Oshweekend if I had to guess. And I think that's it. Thanks to our supporters, thanks to our sponsors, thanks to our teams again. Doug and I will be in communication with you in the next couple weeks as we get closer to opening up our first event. As soon as we have a solid plan from the government, will probably be the next time you'll hear a big statement from us as to how we're going to start taking registration, costs, and how we're going to work it out. But we're excited. I think we're going to just all have to pull together for one more year. It may get opened up. We may get going full throttle, or we could be stuck where we were last year. But either way, we still put on some fantastic racing, had some great stories and some great things to build on. And I think we're really going to do that going forward. So on behalf of all of us, we appreciate your support, your questions. I think there's a lot of good things coming. So that does it for me. Doug, anything you want to add?
No, let's get going here. I mean, it's exciting. The questions and the comments coming in. I mean, people viewing it. It's been, I mean, I think we're all itching to go. So let's go racing. I got a bunch of radios sitting here with lights on, ready to be used, and I can't.
Nice. Quick mention, this will show up on GeForce too. So if anybody missed it or you want to go back and watch it a couple minutes after we're off the air, you should be able to click on it, go back and rewind and go over anything you might have missed or if you came in late. So we appreciate you viewing. We appreciate your participation, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, Spencer, for all your help behind the scenes. And everybody stay safe. We're going racing 1 month from today as long as the government allows.